It's time for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys.
All right, so since I haven't done these lives, not these live, but
Fuck it,
these
we'll
reviews,
do a live.
Damn it, I was gonna say it.
Do you have a structure that you want to go
Yeah.
about this with?
We kind of just go through the film basically from start to finish, talk about the things that we find particularly interesting while also talking about the film itself, like describing what's going on. I mean, for this one, it's Godzilla. Everyone's probably seen a Godzilla film. They know the basic formula of it.
Okay, I haven't done
Yes, but no, because this one is... It's not your I mean, yes, all the Godzilla movies are based off of this particular movie.
Mhm.
Every origin story touches on this. But even when... So, Jose and I were watching this together.
Sure.
And... like, even when we were watching it, we're like, man, we have gotten so far away from this type of movie.
For sure.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For sure.
The Godzilla movies that we get now all have other monsters centered around it. And I would even argue, even when you have just Godzilla, be it Shin Godzilla or Godzilla -1,
Right.
they still feel so different than this.
I want to just point out, when you said be it Shin Godzilla and all that, I know you said be it Shin Godzilla, but it sounded like you said be it.
Bitch Shin Godzilla.
Be it Shin Godzilla.
Bitch Shin Godzilla coming to you in 2025.
First and foremost, I want to say the opening score and like the general like heavy drum beat score that this film uses, fucking dude, it fucks, man.
It does fuck.
God.
Tribal-esque, just yeah,
like suspense building fucking drum beat music. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, also with it kind of representing Godzilla's movement, just that sense of
Is that
impending
what that
doom.
was supposed to be?
Yeah, it's supposed to represent Godzilla's footsteps and the kind of march of the impending doom that is the nuclear age.
Right.
It's his own theme song in the whole movie of like, oh, this is the bad. Like,
this
we're in
is
the shit kind of.
All right. So I said earlier I haven't actually seen a Godzilla movie proper. So I've seen.
But you are watching these you're not just like catching the spark. No, you're not watching it at 1.5 speed right now, are you?
No. I'm watching it at normal speed in the original Japanese format.
All right, cool.
So I want to say I have watched some Godzilla films. I've obviously watched the MonsterVerse stuff. I've seen the Columbia TriStar with Matthew Broderick, who, by the way, I still love that movie.
I think
There's some stuff I love.
I think it's a fun movie. I don't like it being called Godzilla.
Sure, if it was any other name, yes, I absolutely.
Oh man, because could you imagine if that got released, and it didn't, like, it was just its own monster movie. We could have had, it would have been so good.
Well, okay, so I say I like some of it. I don't like the whole movie, but I'd say I'm glad we had that movie because we would have not gotten the animated series afterwards.
Yes, the animated series of that film was
made that design of Godzilla great.
So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Put the cart before the horse, because we will get to those eventually.
We will.
So, Mark, you know the history about this movie, though, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be an It's supposed to be an allegory for the atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and it's like the aftermath and dealing with the repercussions of nuclear testing.
It's that, and then it's also nature's, like, it's kind of nature's way of
getting back.
At humans' arrogance.
Yeah. It's all of humanity's hubris coming into one ginormous beastie.
Yeah.
And I think that's phenomenal. I think that's something
big
that
old cat face looking beastie.
I loved watching this film. I want to say, before I say anything that offends anybody, there is a lot of things I thought were phenomenally, like, very well done with this film. I will say, and I completely understand it, product of its time, the special effects were a bit hokey at points.
I mean, you've got to think so. It's not even just a product of its time. I mean, you're looking at, an industry, film industry in another country. Like, we get real spoiled here
for sure
in the States. And, Godzilla does get a lot like is it just it's a guy in a rubber suit. Yeah. But there's so much, because of their limitations, they do spend more time, but like, it's not like something was done lazily,
right?
Something. It's as underground as indie as you get. Like, just a bunch of people who are real passionate about what they're wanting to do in a film industry that's not the American film industry. It's not Hollywood, and they are pulling out all the stops.
Well, I will say Toho as a company is not exactly like, it's not Tommy Wiseau's production company. They're a sizable film production company, and again, I understand, product of the time, special effects were limited in the 50s. Even in American cinema, we had very limited special effects. You have movies like, what was it, Reptilicus, that was the Norwegian or Scandinavian Godzilla before Godzilla. It's very much it's very much a product of the time with how the monster looks on screen, and for the most part it holds up throughout the film. Yes, it's very clear that they are models that they're setting on fire when Godzilla blows out that breath that destroys Tokyo. But I'm talking one specific moment in the very early in the film is the first time we get to see Godzilla.
Right when he peeks over the top of the hill.
Yeah. When I saw that, I started chuckling, and I remember it was like 20 minutes and 22 minutes in. And I was like, that's exactly where they would have done it if this was an anime. It's the very end of the first episode is they reveal.
Exactly.
But Godzilla peeking his fucking head over that mountain.
I remember even when Jose and I were watching it, we both were like,
I had to.
We were just kind of laughing.
Like lizard just peeking over the hill.
I paused the movie because I was laughing. Because I was watching this while I worked today, because we didn't get a chance to over the weekend. So I saw him pop his dumbass head over, and my immediate thought was, that looks like a fucking puppet. That's just a Muppet. That's just a Muppet that they put on a mountain instead of in Sesame Street. And
I do. Yes, it does. I'll be honest. It is. For me, it is the jankiest shot out of the entire movie.
Absolutely.
But my thing is, I love it so very much because that is your first, look him in the eyes. This is Godzilla, and this is our first real introduction. This isn't seeing a tail or hearing footsteps or seeing the kind of footsteps out into the bay from the beach. This is full on. All right, this is our moment. This is where we see the monster, and when we get full on cat lizard, kind of curled up, almost curled up, like when your dog gets its teeth stuck, the lip stuck around its teeth.
It's straight up. It did the Kermit the Frog frustrated lip tuck and everything.
the lip tongue. Yeah.
Oh my god! When it did that, I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me! This movie's going to be so campy."
But the thing is, it's the only. It's why it makes me laugh every time, because that is the only campy part of the entire movie.
Right, and that's that masterfully done. I have nothing ill to say about that moment. Because that is
every other scene. And the thing is, as soon as you see his face and it's trying to evoke terror, we laugh about it and everything, but then right away they're cutting to the human reaction.
Right.
I know a lot of people complain about I'm one of those fans, and I'm like, yeah, I love Godzilla, but I love the human element of the movies too.
Fair.
And I know that was the big problem a lot of people had with the first Godzilla in 2014.
Yeah, the
from
2014.
Legendary. They were like, well, but it's just like 20 minutes of Godzilla in the entire movie. It's all people. Blah, blah, blah. It's why I still love that movie.
Here's
like
the thing.
Human elements.
Well, okay. Knowing that there's still fans that are like, yeah, the human aspect always kind of kills the Godzilla films. It didn't for me because Gareth Edwards was the producer.
I don't know.
I believe yes, in the 2014.
He had just made that movie, or he came off making the movie Monsters, and
Oh yeah.
I liked that film because it centered more on the human aspect,
Right.
on the what is it, like a post alien invasion that didn't center around a war. It was just like a spore that went about the earth and people had to adapt to it.
Right.
I've
Had that same feel of that 2014 Godzilla, which was
Right.
really cool because it made Godzilla feel almost like Jaws in a sense, where
Right.
you know, like, the thing is going on in the background, and you're building up the anticipation like the first film, and when we finally see Godzilla, that's when the terror set in.
right.
I mean,
I think it was phenomenal.
I think that's why we'll get into it more when we
Mhm.
talk about that movie, but I think it's why moments like when he uses his atomic breath that it sells so hard in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all the build, and then also with all of the with the only other American iteration of Godzilla, which was the Matthew Broderick film. I mean, the closest we got was that he breathed fire for one scene, but it was kind of by fluke.
Oh yeah,
you know?
they weren't even supposed to have the atomic breath. He was just supposed to be exhaling toxic gas.
Right, exactly. And
Which
so it was just
people
kind
didn't
of
like.
by act. Yeah, which was
So,
terrible.
I do
But-
want to in response to what you're saying about how the human element is what sells it for you. I will agree with you for some aspects of Godzilla. Like for me, in my opinion, like, don't get me wrong, I like the legendary ones. Godzilla 2014 for me was my least favorite of the legendary films that they've done.
That's fair. I mean, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I am shallow. When I go to a movie about giant monsters beating the shit out of each other, I want to see giant monsters beating the shit out of each other. I will say that for movies such as this first Godzilla movie, the human element was the most important part of it. Because
It kind of had to be.
right, exactly. This wasn't the campy, like, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla films where Godzilla was doing like flying drop kicks of giant monsters. This was supposed to be that allegory for the devastation that was left behind in World War II and, the repercussions of what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And when me and Brandon saw this,
and
what did we say, Brandon? How many years was it after?
Well, so, I mean, we dropped the bomb in 45.
Right.
And then 1954, they come out with this movie. Like,
It's still sore.
9 years later, the movie hit. So they were working on it 7 to 8 years after, the bomb dropped. That is crazy. Could you, and this is what I said to Jose when we were watching it. I was like, imagine this. Imagine if just 10 years after 9/11, you had somebody come out with a movie that was purely based off of the fear and terror of 9/11, and then because the thing is, there have been movies centered around the time of 9/11, like things happening,
Right.
but none of them have had staying power like Godzilla. None of them turned around and are like, oh, now every couple of years we all love going to see like the 9/11 monster movie, or like it's the craziest thing that they took such a huge risk and just kind of like opened up this wound that was done to them, and just like, let's explore this. Let's kind of give a warning to the rest of the world.
And not only that, this was like Japan's first big monster movie. This wasn't like, I mean, not like monster generic. Like, I mean, when I say big monster, I mean literally physically large monster.
Quite literal.
Like there
monster.
had been other monster films before this. Like we had King Kong in 1933. That was done in a completely different style, though. King Kong 1933 was done stop animation style. Godzilla was more practical live suit effects, right?
You're right.
We had...
When did Gamera come out?
Gamera came out in 56, I think.
Okay, so a couple years after here.
Yeah, so this... Gamera was made as like the competitor for Godzilla from Daiei, which was Toho's competing company. I may not have seen the movies, but I know a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
First appearance of Gamera was 1965.
Okay, so yeah, so very short.
Okay.
Oh, wow, 65.
I mean, a whole 10 years later.
Yeah, 10 years, yeah.
And I will say this, they also, Reptilicus, I brought up earlier, because that was genuinely the first giant monster film I'd ever seen, was Reptilicus. And what a movie to make your start, right?
I just found out about that one like a couple weeks ago. Like it was an inspiration. Well, this Godzilla film kind of took inspiration of some shots and how it was filmed.
For sure.
Well, so Reptilicus is 1961, and it's a Danish American monster.
Was it 61?
Film.
I thought it was earlier.
It's 61. No,
I thought it was earlier too. I guess what I read was kind of a fluke then.
You're right. I'm sorry. I've got my dates wrong.
You're good. Release date, at least I think the release date in the States was 63.
Yeah, you're right. So regardless though, this Godzilla was my point here is Godzilla was, first of all, it was a huge risk, but it was also a huge step away from what people normally saw in theaters. Because like, again, giant monster movies weren't like a very common thing back then. And, to have this one that became quite literally one of the most recognizable creatures in all of any kind of media is just, it's insane. Like, that how much of a payoff they ended up having.
Godzilla is considered the first kaiju.
Right.
So,
now,
in case anybody hasn't picked up yet, we are doing an entire review.
We are talking about
all Godzilla things.
We're going to get all the way up to Godzilla 1998, and then we're going to talk about each individual episode of this show.
And just like the really good Godzilla movies, like the ones that are like really heavy hitting, we're not going to talk about the movie until at least 20 or 30 minutes into this episode.
we are going to overstay our welcome, just like every one of these movies.
Whoa, there's none of them overstay a welcome. I'm going to say I'll die on that hill.
Okay.
So every single one of these movies is a blast to watch.
Well, speaking of dying on the hill, when Godzilla peeked his little cute head over the mountain, that's when my faith in this film died.
Right when we see his fucking adorable face, it's dead.
Just like, actually, it's like, oh, I'm having such a good time watching. The third fake goes, well, I'm gonna leave.
Well,
all I can say is, Mark, you better buckle the fuck up for when we get into the first King Kong versus Godzilla.
Dude, I am so excited for that.
You want to talk about a movie that is jank? That movie is, it's
bad. I know.
I love it, but it's bad.
I do want to touch on one last thing at the very early on, making fun of like the silliness of this film before we move to the more serious topics at hand. Exactly 8 minutes and 15 seconds into this film, we are treated to this scene on the beach, right? Where everyone's watching like the turmoil out at sea.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I got caught up on this, bro. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse or the screen even that I'm trying to share.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Homeboy with his big old man titties.
Good for him.
And I want to, I actually wrote, I took notes on the film as I was watching. I don't do that normally. I wrote in all caps, them Mayon titties.
You know who my favorite person is? The dude, me on his right, with his his real short hair up and a hair tie.
That's. Oh, so yeah, on his right. You're right.
Yeah. On his right. Sorry.
It's great. So
I love one of my favorite things about these is just seeing the crowd shots.
Oh yeah.
In this movie, and any gathering like this, any of these scenes where there's just a bunch of people, because I really don't think that they were actors. I think they were just like, does anybody have any anybody's parents or uncles want to get in on this?
Oh, for sure.
Or they just showed up into the town and it was like, you fishermen, we need you.
This is a video camera. We're gonna point it at you. It will not steal your souls, probably. So
You think they cared about that? They were like, we were bombed a couple of years ago.
I think I even
really worried.
Yeah, I even told it to Brandon. I was like, I don't think all of these people are actors.
So, on the topic of the superstition of getting your soul stolen by cameras, I really like that they made Godzilla like a folktale in this. Like, I know that in modern stuff, especially like the MonsterVerse stuff, that they make it very clear that, like, oh yeah, these are monsters that we've known about for, centuries. Where there's cave paintings of this shit. But
right.
I did not realize how far back this went. I didn't realize that this originated with Godzilla 1954, and for that matter, there's that moment when they're talking about how there's still like parts of the world where there's like where the pits go deep or something like that. Basically,
the vents and
the vents, and basically circumnavigating around saying Hollow Earth stuff.
Right.
So like I was just like shook, like, oh my god, they actually are acknowledging the Hollow Earth type stuff.
Oh, I mean, there's a reason why when they threw in like the Hollow Earth stuff, like it wasn't that crazy or far-fetched for a Godzilla movie, because they've been teasing and kind of messing around with this stuff for a long time.
See,
and so one of the things that once again, talking about the kind of the tent poles of what I love in certain Godzilla movies, the Godzilla movies that I thoroughly enjoy studying and kind of like getting deep into, are always the ones that fully acknowledge, like, this is a thing that like goes back thousands of years that we haven't had to deal with in a long time, and it's Earth, like, so modern society kind of coming to term with the idea of these prehistoric gods coming back.
Right. I think that's a phenomenal thing, and knowing that the seeds for that idea were planted by Godzilla 54, beautifully done.
Most definitely.
And it wasn't heavy-handed either. It was a passing remark.
Oh, absolutely. They then didn't show you a 34-minute montage of all of these ancient civilizations, all knowing. It's like, nope, oh yeah, we've known about these guys for thousands of years. There's some old text about it. But anyways, on to the problem, because thousands of people are dying every minute.
Right, exactly. and honestly, like, the pacing for this film felt almost perfect.
I will say about the pacing of this movie, I would tell, I was saying this with Jose when we were watching it, that I don't think people realize this, how the pace of this movie actually is, because of how other Godzilla movies are.
Right.
People's first experience with Godzilla is probably more than likely not going to be this movie.
For sure.
Their first experience, my first experience with Godzilla was Godzilla versus Mothra.
Mine was Millennium.
Yeah.
Mine was
and especially
mine was Mecha, the first Mecha.
Yeah. Now,
Nice.
real quick, Brandon, are you saying like your first experience was Godzilla versus Mothra or Mothra versus Godzilla? Because they were two different films.
The first one,
The original one. Okay.
Yeah, the original, which I think was Mothra versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that first generation of films, they were always so and so versus Godzilla. It wasn't until they got to the Champion series, that they started calling him Godzilla versus. And I feel so stupid saying the words that I've never watched a Godzilla film and then knowing all this like extra shit about
all
films.
this other stuff. Well, I mean, it truly is your aughts, you know.
Yeah, well, because I'm working on the the tracking order for all of this that we're gonna record for, and
It is that thing. I was amazed that you were like, "Oh yeah, let me put together the spreadsheet."
It's more intense. It's gotten more intense.
To be honest,
I know, like this, like I know Mark loves his spreadsheets, but like Godzilla's more my thing. He's never really. And then you start throwing it together, and I was like, "All right, we'll include this, 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 and this." And you're like, "Done." And I was like, "Good lord!"
Yeah, I finally got a chance to look at it today, and I was like, "This is actually pretty nice to look at."
Oh,
It's
I've
really
changed it up a bit.
amazing.
It's really
I've changed things up, so you guys are gonna be more amazed.
All right, so let's. I mean, all right. I feel like we've laid down enough groundwork as far as. Let's start getting into the meat and potatoes of this movie.
The button potatoes.
So I'll finish up with my pacing comment. This movie at time for those people that complain like, but I want to see the big monster destroy buildings. There's not a ton of it. I mean, there's some great scenes, but this is a drama and a horror movie. I mean, there are so beautiful faces. Right?
Oh, I love him.
But there is so much, and there's a lot of political stuff that happens too. Just so much interpersonal drama. You've got dang it, I've got his name pulled up because I've used quick little cheat sheets just to remember. You've got
Sarazara?
Yeah, Dr. Sarazara. Just kind of with his internal struggle on what he's created and just kind of wanting to be distant and not involved, and everybody kind of putting the fate of the world in his hands, and just kind of the turmoil that he deals with. And even the other scientists, like his Emiko's father.
The old guy.
Yeah. Kyohei? I think it's Kyohei.
Kyohei Yamane.
Also, everybody, please forgive us on our terrible pronunciations that will inevitably happen.
We are white. We're doing our best here.
Yes, I am white.
This is as deep as my weeb goes. It's Godzilla.
Well, here's the thing. To your point, this movie is very much a character film. It is a film about the people dealing with the repercussions of what's already happened, but also the repercussions of what is going to happen once things have happened. Like,
right, and even Sarazawa's whole what he like with his anti-oxygen bomb is essentially like another form of militaristic warfare that he does not want.
Quick question.
Out.
Did you guys watch it in the Japanese dub or Japanese?
We did. We sure did.
So it's the Oxygen Destroyer first.
Oxygen Destroyer, yes.
Okay. There's a whole monster that grows from this later.
Oh yeah.
I forgot. I learned about that. Here's why I think it was such a beautiful film is because if you really break it down, Sarazawa's emotions about like, good God, what have I done? Like, this is gonna change the world forever, for better or for worse. It's a reflection on Oppenheimer.
Correct.
Like the whole the world will never be the same again, and also like this could destroy the entire planet. And for our fans that are out there getting all horny for the Christopher Nolan film, I'm not talking about Christopher Nolan film. I'm talking about actual Oppenheimer, the actual scientist that built the atomic bomb. It's important to note that, again, this film is a direct reference to the atomic bomb that destroyed, plural, 2 atomic bombs that destroyed Japan.
Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah, so... Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that the scientist that has created a device that could destroy the world would be a little more careful with revealing the fact that he had built a device that could destroy the world.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, he's learning from past mistakes that other people have made. Also that... Maybe it's just the culture. Maybe different cultures, so I don't understand. Soldier Boy, when he was trying to, like,
What is happening?
courtship
Like-
ritual with Emiko, when he was like,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, I'm gonna ask your dad if it's okay if I marry you," and then proceeds to fumble that. Proceeds to fumble that immediately. Like, dude, how bad do you have to be at proposing? Also, what a time to pick to propose to your girlfriend.
It's not a
we
great
may
time.
die. Yeah, we may die against this monster, but I marry you. You want to marry me?
Look, fuck,
All right.
babe. Yeah, there's a dinosaur destroying Tokyo, but I want to destroy that ass. You know? Can I ask your daddy for his consent?
I mean, look, we're probably not going to have tomorrow, so I mean,
I want to say no, but I don't want to be rude. Like I appreciated the dynamic that the four arguably key characters in this film, aside from Godzilla himself, praise be unto him, are Professor Yamane, his daughter Emiko, her boyfriend Ogata, and then Dr. Serizawa. Now, they bring four very different perspectives on the situation at hand, and I think
Correct.
that's part of why they all worked so well together.
and then you
Because
have Emiko, which is kind of the go-between between Ogata and Serizawa,
right,
but she also is greatly affected by Serizawa's kind of sacrifice and like realizing the weight of his decision that he needs to make, which I mean, when you get to the end of the movie and seeing her reactions to him destroying his life's work
right.
and
Well,
understanding why he's doing that.
for sure. And there's even a point where Ogata, however it's pronounced, Mr. O, is feeling
Once again,
like
we're ignorant.
I'm really bad at pronunciation of names unless I hear them multiple times, but it has to be done on an English dub of something for it to click. It doesn't make no sense. But Ogata's reaction to Emiko talking about Serizawa was, he was like, "Oh man, shoot, she's already into this dude," and she's even like, "No, he's like a brother to me."
Yeah.
Like there was a familial bond between Serizawa and Emiko, which I think was very sweet and kind of an important story, or an important part of the story because of the sacrifice that he made, as you said. Now, another thing that Emiko kind of represents in this situation is the every person, because the other three are directly involved in what's going on. Ogata being a soldier, he's one of the ones that was supposed to go and search and rescue to find what happened to those destroyed boats, right?
Right.
And Professor Yamane is trying to actively prevent people from killing this dinosaur because he sees it as a research opportunity. And then, of course, Serizawa is like, "Hey,
Research and then also kind of respecting nature is kind of
Right.
its own
yeah, exactly."
force.
And I get, and all of them have valid points in their
Every
arguments.
single one of them, I'm just like, that's a fair argument.
Like-
That's also a fair argument.
Literally, it's like, this is the first time we've had a living dinosaur. We can first of all, how did it survive all this time? And also, like, was it always this big, or did the radiation make it grow this size? And meanwhile, everyone else is like very seriously like, "Yeah, we need to get rid of this thing ASAP because look what's happening."
Right.
Yeah, they're scared for their life, and it's destroying their livestock,
Exactly.
as they potentially can go hungry if it stays alive. Yeah.
Bitch, that thing picked up a train.
He picked up a train like it was nothing. And
He blew fire out of his face.
I don't want it to live.
this
I
is no
don't
longer a
want it.
dinosaur. This is a dragon, man. Can we just there's a reason there's no more dragons, because we killed them all, so let's just finish the job.
It is one of those things that it's just like, I do understand. I'm like, look, the moment that thing shot an atomic breath, it's like, all right, hey, I know I was on board for saving this thing for research for later and kind of conservation element. I'll I take back my prior statements. I would like to join his team because that's fucked.
Yeah, for real. I want to talk about. Okay, so they're talking about this big barbed wire thing that they were going to build to try and trap Godzilla.
I loved that conversation so much. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea, guys. We should totally.
First
do
of
that.
all, for starters, 30 meters tall of barbed wire. All right. These radio tower things that they built to build this barbed wire thing around were the same height as Godzilla.
Yeah.
Second of all, there was no barbed wire on that. That was purely just wiring. Third of all,
Well, the barbs would be real small. You couldn't make them that big.
but there was like 6 tiny strands on each tower. That wasn't gonna hold nothing.
Wasn't do anything.
Tertiarily to this, they said that they were gonna be like 80 meters deep of barbed wire. That is a lot of barbed wire. I don't know if you guys know how much 80 meters is.
80 meters is a lot.
That's like almost the length of a football field deep of barbed wire that Godzilla was supposed to be stumbling through.
Now, granted, I mean, that is gonna look really small comparatively, like to Godzilla. So I get it.
Sure.
So you have to spend a little bit of disbelief and imagination,
Right.
But
my point is that this 30-foot tower and 80-foot depth of barbed wire equivalent. It was telephone wires. That wasn't.
Yeah.
That's my point. Is like there was no the schematics that they gave were not implemented, and I think
Correct.
personally, if they had implemented the schematics correctly, it probably would have worked,
I don't think it would.
Oh yeah.
or at least it would have slowed him down a bit more than it did.
Oh, that's something at least. You would hope.
Right, and then of course we get to that catastrophic event where he destroys most of Tokyo.
What? I'm sorry. What was that word?
Catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
Capistrano. So we get to that catastrophic
Well,
event where he finally.
Also, to go back and talk about the ballsiness of this movie with the nuclear attacks just being less than 10 years
Yeah.
before this movie came out. Can we talk about the fact that they full on have a hospital scene where they are treating people for radiation sickness
Yep.
and like burns? It's like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Man.
So all right.
It's so brutal.
It is.
It's yeah.
So we get to the catastrophic landfall of Godzilla, and as one would expect, he just kind of fucks about and destroys everything.
Yeah, he's actively stepping it up his game. He's going to higher and higher populated areas.
Like the thing is it almost. I mean, I'm not saying like the allegory of evil is not there. I'm not trying to discredit the allegory of what the evil of the atom bomb is. But
Sure.
I don't. From what I was watching, I didn't see a whole lot of like planning. Yeah, not planning doesn't feel like the right word. Like it wasn't like Godzilla saw a group of people and was like, okay, I'm gonna fire there, and then I'm gonna fire at the orphanage over there, and oh, that's a hospital, I'm gonna go for there. He was just like kind of straight lining it across the terrain.
You mean like an animal would?
Exactly. That's my point. Is like
Right.
this.
I don't. People always think, is Godzilla good or is he bad?
He's just a
And
force of nature.
My
Yeah,
argument is, you don't get mad at nature. I mean, you can get upset. Like tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and everything is all very devastating
Sure.
and deadly, and it's real easy to focus on the horror of it, but it is just what it is. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's chaos on
wheels.
It's chaos
Yeah.
in the sense of like just nature just being nature.
Well, and
like
very early
you
on.
look-
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the first real like topics of Godzilla or like discussions about Godzilla we hear is from that first island which, you know, where
Right.
Godzilla peeked his little nose over the hill.
This is just
But
adorable little face, just right over
it's-
the crest of that hill.
It's the night after a storm where
On Odo.
on Odo, yes, where a house collapses on a family. Terrible, awful thing.
Which also so I will say one of my favorite things in researching and just doing little extra deep dives into this is everyone like, why is the first Godzilla movie so dark? I'm just like, it is dark that just people who are there's no villain of this movie. There's no person who's sitting there twirling a mustache or plotting, you know, like later Godzilla movies where you're like, that's the bad guy. We should let's watch the aliens die or whatnot. No, it's just, well, I guess that kid and that family and those old people are just dead.
Well,
just
like they weren't to that credit, they weren't even like setting up for a sequel to this movie.
No,
Like there wasn't
absolutely not.
There wasn't like what they did at the end of like, okay, using a bad example.
However, I will say Godzilla Raids Again did come out just a year after
Right.
this.
Yes, after that huge. To be fair, though, they pumped out movies annually after or for a while.
Oh, I mean, if that, I mean, a lot of times they'd pop a movie out
Yeah.
after 6 months.
Right, exactly. But like this movie, it ended as an ending. It wasn't like a until next time.
So yes and no, but if you remember, Emiko kind of foreshadowed that there was gonna be like just kind of that warning that if we keep using nuclear weapons, that this is gonna keep happening.
Right.
That was said very clearly with the state. Like, I mean, there's no way. Like, nobody thought that movie was going to come out, and then like this will stop nuclear war.
Right.
This will end it all.
Yeah.
Like
It was like Rocky's speech
absolutely.
in the Soviet Union during Rocky IV. Like, if eyes can change and yous can change, everybody can change. Yeah, nobody stopped. You know that. Although I will say Gorbachev did tear down the wall pretty shortly after that.
I mean, we could honestly say that Rocky Balboa is what brought down the wall.
I think that's a. I don't even think that's a controversial statement. I think that's just fact.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Stallone.
back to your point. To your point.
Thanks, Sly.
Thanks, Sly.
Thanks, Sly.
This film did not have a villain, as you said. Like this was. Oh, anyway, back to the storm. Yes, the storm destroys this village, and they even mentioned like this was not like a normal storm. Like there was more to it than just a storm. But they still recognize the fact that whatever this was that brought the storm with him. Like
Right.
Godzilla is such a force of nature that he literally changes the climate around him.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Well, and there's a lot of people that use Godzilla as an allegory of death.
right.
You know, in the sense that it's, you know, like one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Well, shit.
You know.
There was one of the movies. He was the personification of
Well,
all the
don't-
dead soldiers.
No, it wasn't just the dead soldiers. It was all the embodiment of all the wronged souls who died.
Dude,
from
I gotta be
nuclear
honest.
attacks.
That is probably the film I'm most excited to watch.
It is my favorite iteration of Godzilla.
Oh, is this the one with the white eyes?
Because
Yeah, the white
yes,
pupils.
this is the
Okay.
and it's the longest title out of all the Godzilla movies.
What is it? All
It,
Godzilla,
it's,
Mothra, King Ghidorah, all out monsters attack. But also there's like, isn't Rodan or one of the other ones in there too?
yeah.
Oh, it's
so
Anguirus.
essentially,
Anguirus.
is Anguirus. So essentially, how it works, and we'll get into this, we'll revisit it later. But when you talk about like Godzilla's not the bad guy in this movie,
Right.
I would even still argue that. But which it's my favorite Godzilla design. Whited out eyes and like full on like vampire fangs.
Oh yeah.
It's so dope.
Oh yeah.
But you've got that iteration of him which is supposed to be more of a Godzilla's the villain.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but are you gonna argue with all those people that died, like all the souls who died? And then
Yeah.
it's more in the sense that Mothra, Anguirus and Ghidorah, which that was the big shakeup for King Ghidorah,
Right.
was that the three of them were guardians of the earth and
Right.
nature.
Which
And
we got
that
more of with the
Godzilla
modern
is this
stuff.
right, and that Godzilla is this anomaly that shouldn't exist, like a virus almost. But
That's-
anyways, we'll get more
We'll get
into
into
that when
that.
we get into the Millennium series, because that's a good movie.
So
But
so with the making landfall that Godzilla pulled and just immediately started just destroying everything, right? As I said, like, I don't think
with those drums going the whole
with those
time,
God,
too.
that score is amazing. Again, none of it felt super personal. Like, he wasn't just going out there and being like, ha ha, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, he didn't. But even still, if Godzilla had turned and licked his chops, you'd just be like, I mean, it's an animal.
Yeah.
He doesn't look at it and go, oh, that guy had a mortgage. Like, oh, shit, that poor little Timmy, he was only in 4th grade, and he was a really good art student,
See,
too.
hold on. You joke about that, and I was doing that too. Like, watching this as he's destroying the city, and then it zooms in on that mother clutching her children.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking.
Oh, going and just like, we'll be with Daddy soon. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, my God, that was so heartbreaking. Those.
Like, oh my God.
Watching that, I looked at Jose and was like, I forgot about that. That hurts. That's rough.
I think at that point I noticed, I was like, wow, this movie was fucking dark.
Because
This movie is really heavy, and at that point, I was like, Jose, do you need a drink? I need a drink.
See, here's what happened from my end is I was watching it and I was like, man, like, that it's sad because they don't know where Dad is. Like, they want to find Dad, and so she's just trying to comfort her children. Then it clicked to me and I was like, oh no, their dad's dead and they're gonna die.
Yeah.
And she's trying to like calm her children before.
She's telling them, hey, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna be reunited.
And here's the thing that I will say that Hollywood would have done in that moment. At the end of the film, we would have seen that mother with her children again, laughing and waving and whatever. But we didn't get that in this film. We don't
Laughing
know.
and waving at a Force Ghost version of their dad that came back to say hi.
We don't know what happened to that mother and her children.
They're dead.
We have to assume that
They're dead. Like, I mean,
Oh yes, let's assume that the 4 buildings around them collapsed and they just come out of the rubble. Yeah.
Well, no, because
I mean, now granted, if you've seen Godzilla -1, there is a moment that is as ridiculous.
right.
But
The
it's
other,
okay because you love to see it. You
I
fucking
also
love to see it.
absolutely loved one of my favorite tropes in cinema is the newscaster that will not stop newscasting until he is
Oh
dead.
my god! I forgot. I love that scene so much because I too love the dedication of any character that's like that, and they're not like a dumbass or like an evil person, you
Right.
know. I'm like all these people up on this fucking radio tower are all just doing their job.
They are all going to
it's
die.
really cool in the Godzilla 1984, which acts as a direct sequel to this
Right.
movie.
Yes.
There is an homage to that moment as well.
That's
with
correct.
everybody in the kind of the newsroom, like in the tower, and they're like, "Oh no, he's looking right at us." And there's like full on the one time in one of the few moments in a Godzilla movie where like human and Godzilla are locked in on each other, and this feels very personal.
Well, like, that's the thing. Even though I would argue that the one thing that did feel a little bit personal
That did feel a little personal.
was him destroying the radio tower. I don't feel like he had to do that. I feel like Godzilla
The
saw.
only thing I could think of is Godzilla, because him having sonar could potentially have just been attracted to the radio tower due to the signals and the frequencies.
Possibly.
But we don't know that for sure, so I do like the idea that it was just You know what? Fuck all those people.
My theory
They're
is
watching
actually
me. I didn't. You know what? If you, God damn it, if you're gonna say something, say it to my face. And like,
I think they're all-
Godzilla throws that tower. Godzilla walking up like a pissed off gangster, just like your mouth's writing checks, you know, that you can't cash, and just start beating the shit out of all of them.
My other thought was that it could be that he
these
just
hands, motherfucker.
he just saw the tallest thing around and it was like, nah, that ain't gonna work for me.
You're
I
bigger
also
than me.
like
This
that
might
idea.
change.
That also works because it's like that is the only thing that's like taller than him,
Right.
And then it's also putting out frequencies, so it could work like in the legendary Godzilla, where it's like, we're actually putting out like an alpha signal right now,
Right,
and it's
exactly.
pissing it off.
Now, and I gotta be honest, almost as bad as the mother with her children was as the tower is starting to fall, you see people jumping.
Yes, I thought that too. I was like, oh no.
My immediate thought was like, oh my god, this is like 9/11.
I was gonna say it, Mark.
Yeah.
Like, joking aside, I know we make a lot of jokes about 9/11, but god, like, that was the only parallel I drew from that, was like, oh my god, this is
That is the
9/11.
moment where you are essentially like, well, at least I'm going out on my own terms.
Exactly,
This
yeah.
is my last act that I get to decide.
Hey, big lizard, fuck you.
Did he whip his dick out as he fell?
I think he did. I believe he did climax just before he hit the ground.
We for sure need to make reference. Like, hey, disclaimer.
I'm gonna put a big fucking disclaimer at the beginning of this.
The last little bit of this got lost, and it took us a week later to record this, and then Mark decided to get uncomfortably stoned.
I'm gonna just whisper that into the microphone, just for the listeners.
I think
at
he's
home.
comfortably stoned. He's just uncomfortable to record.
To our listeners, Mark got really fucking baked before this, and we had to wait a whole ass week to talk about the rest of this film. And well, Mark was trying some new edibles out, and they ended up being a lot more potent than he anticipated.
He ended up having a little bit more kick and zip to it than he expected.
At this point, all Mark wants to do is drive across the street to Five Guys and order a triple burger with cheese, bacon, some of them grilled mushies, a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of mayo, and a tomato on top. Oh,
Was this an ad read for Five Guys?
Hey, Five Guys, that was the best fucking ad you're ever gonna get.
That was real sexual. I'm sorry to tell you they're closed.
Fuck.
That makes me very happy.
You fuckers, don't laugh at that.
Actually, it's just the way
Disrespectful.
she shut down your hopes and dreams. Yeah, they're closed.
Yeah, they're closed.
Y'all being so disrespectful.
To whom?
To me?
You? That's fine.
She said, she told me don't get bullied tonight. And now here y'all is bullying me.
What? Hold on.
You asked for us to record. You came to this.
Anecdotal or is it fact?
Good answer. That was a good answer.
How are
He's throwing fucking
Yes.
How
big
are
words
you
around
supposed
already,
to be
man.
responsible for us bullying
Fuck
you or
off.
not?
I don't know, man. Dude, okay, I'm just gonna get ahead of this now because you're gonna be saying shit later. We are trying new edibles, and I'm getting my ass kicked right now.
Oh shit.
Send me the info, please.
I didn't know that they were double the dose I normally take.
Mark.
Oh no!
Oh my god.
Look,
I'm so interested now.
let's just say,
Can you say it?
Can you say it?
it's been a great fucking night.
Let me ask a very important question for what we're about to do. Can you handle our conversation? Can
I
you?
wanted to ask him that, but I feel like he'll do his best.
I'm gonna do my
we-
my
we-
bestest.
Oh no.
Here's the thing. No.
Okay.
Hold on. Before you guys shit on my parade,
What?
I am in the same exact mental state that I was when I watched Godzilla -1 last night. So this is perfect.
You did another double dose, but last night.
Well, we took an edible, and then we also were
he's
hitting.
4 times.
We were hitting
worse
pen
than-
a lot. Tonight it was just the edible.
Oh, he did the pendulum.
Anyway, I'm at the level.
The pen is when Angel puts him in a crate and pegs him.
Jesus Christ. That is an image.
I love that you can't hear the conversation, but I do love that you're going to get to hear it fresh when I start editing this.
Hear it. You're just putting ideas in her head now.
Oh, he was talking to Angel. I was like, what did I miss her say? What happened?
No, yeah, he was telling her that she can't hear our conversation.
Oh no, it's gonna be great.
She doesn't have headphones
great.
on. She's chosen not to have headphones on for this.
No, understandable.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I'm good.
Like, Angel's get a crate.
It's gonna be so much better in post.
Picking up where we dropped off last time. We had just made the joke about how their radio tower collapsing was basically a 9/11 because the guy jumped off, and then that's where it cuts off.
Choosing the faster way out.
Yeah.
My God, that's where it cut off. Yeah.
I know. Talking about a movie. Talking about a movie where a dinosaur creature destroys everything. The destruction that Godzilla brings to the city of Tokyo is, God, I don't even remember what I said last time. I'm done.
Fuck, we're off to a great start.
I give up.
My goodness, we're off to a great start.
Brandon, you take the reins here. Talk about it.
Stop stammering over your high ass.
Man.
Just say reaction for next year's 420 episode.
God.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Don't apologize.
I'm just as upset as you guys are.
Are you? I don't know.
I am. Do you have any idea how long the last 20 minutes of my life have been?
I can, yeah, you know, feels like a long time. It almost feels like it's been 8 hours.
Don't do that. So Sarazawa finally caves and is like, okay, maybe I should do the thing with the water destroyer.
Oh man, we have to talk about the whole tail end of this movie.
Yeah, we have to talk about the tail end of this movie again.
But man.
An actual name for that bomb is called the oxygen destroyer thingy.
Oxygen destroyer. I've been saying water destroyer for the last 20 minutes.
Oh no.
No, you
All
said
right.
oxygen destroyer.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
God, forgive me. God, forgive us.
God wants nothing to do with this.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the fucking shit. Godzilla died. We did it.
They say that every Sunday, or whenever they have it.
So at this point, Emiko confronts boyfriend. What's his name? Stop! Don't look at me like that. You stop it. What's the dude's? Come on, guys. Throw me up. You're my fucking lifelines. You're letting me down.
Are you talking about I'm looking up his name because I just had
I
to
know. I
be
was
sure.
still looking for it too, and he just started freaking out.
Is it Ogata?
Ogata.
Ogata.
Yeah, no, Ogata. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Hermagerd.
Okay, so Emiko decides to confront Ogata with the information she has about Sarazawa. He has been creating what we finally, as the audience, get to see in her flashback in the present time. It happened to her back then, but we're now seeing and learning about it now as she's telling it to Ogata.
Man, this is like listening to Mitch. This is like listening to a Mitch Hedberg bit.
That was impressive for him to do, him being that eye.
It was, but it was his delivery that really.
Anyway, Shit. Serizawa had given a demonstration to Emiko exactly what the oxygen destroyer does. And
As we said previously, it rips things to shreds without it actually ripping things to shred.
I think actually I think
There's
that was part of the part that got cut.
Oh, was it? I thought
Yeah.
we mentioned it earlier in the episode.
Oh,
All
we,
right.
we might have. If it isn't, I'll cut it
Oxygen
out.
Destroyer, its official power set is it rips shit to shred and leaves behind nothing but bones. But so yeah, they're faced with no other option. And even though Serizawa just absolutely does not want to use this thing out of fear, once, lots of comparisons to Oppenheimer's struggle as far as
Was it?
becoming death.
So
All right.
Serizawa, in a moment of brilliance, decides to take the thing that shows people how to build the thing that can destroy Godzilla, in the unlikely event that he should pass away, so that somebody else could build it, rather than have to rely on Serizawa, and he throws that into a fire, which
He
Emiko
destroys his life work to Emiko's horror.
right, because
But
like
understanding. It's not even horror as far as like, I can't believe you did that, just in the sense of understanding the weight of the situation that is happening.
yeah,
Right.
and
It's a selfless act to make sure. I mean, the idea of something so destructive that could absolutely revolutionize and change warfare and just the world as we know it, and yet he had the wherewithal to go, no, I'm not keeping a device like this around. It's a direct. They might as well have looked directly into the camera and go, see, America, we can let go of things too.
Oh,
well done, Brendan. I think that's what you said exactly word for word the first time.
Was it?
Well, I think
have
so.
paraphrased a little.
But and I understand 100% understand where he's coming from like the horror of what you've created kind of aspect. But at the same time, again, this is Godzilla, right? As far as they know, there is only one of them. But like
Hoping.
on the off chance that there's more down in that ocean that it done come out of, would they not want to have a backup plan?
I mean, my thought process would be this: if there's one that is that big, there surely must be, like, I would at that point I would start expecting. Well, there's other monsters we don't know about.
Right.
What?
there's
else
always a
don't we
bigger
know
fish.
about? There's always a bigger fish, and we need a bigger boat.
But anyway, so Serizawa was like, no, nobody can ever do this again. I'm the only one that gets to be special. And when we use it and possibly kill this creature, I need to be the one that's doing it front and center. Like, I need people to know that it was me.
Yes, and then
he drags fucking Ogata down with him.
yeah, takes him down, and then it's one of those interesting things. We always get kind of used to this idea, especially with modern movies, like, oh, this is the climax of the film, and so things are going to get real crazy. There's going to be a giant fight and a struggle, and it really is just this heartbreaking moment of destroying something like apex predator, like, as far as they know, a one of a kind being, and having to make that call, and then also with Serizawa going down with it,
Right.
sacrificing himself in the process for us, to make sure it's done.
I do find it interesting that you chose to use the term apex predator, because I've heard you on several occasions refer to yourself as an apex predator, Brandon.
I've never done that.
Okay.
Yeah, at least once or twice a month I hear that from you.
No, I've never.
Ah, look at me. I'm the apex predator.
What am I just coming up and whispering in your ear? I'm the apex predator.
You have got an amazing fucking microphone, because that sounded like it was right behind me.
You're also stoned as shit right now.
No, that has nothing to do with it. I'm sobering up.
I'm using the same mic you are.
No, mine's here. Yours is there.
No, because I'm in the.
What the fuck?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, welcome to Sleepy Boy's asthma.
I will quit. I swear. I'm done.
I'm
just gonna.
I'm gonna just do
my
it.
ASMR submission is just gonna be more of me pouring alcohol to get through it.
I was thinking, just do a compilation of all the times that one of us just like does something asthma-y, like heavy sighs into the microphone, or says, pussy.
It's just you saying. It's just you saying that over and over.
I like on a 2-hour loop.
Just makes me pussy. Oh. So he drags Okata along, and he's like, "Hey, listen. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down to the bottom of the ocean, and you see these two halves of a metal ball that normally they don't do nothing, but if you clap them together, you explode. Kind of deals. And I want you to be down there to watch me be all cool."
Well said.
In a nutshell, man.
No one has
And
ever
then
said that better.
then after he climaxed, they went down in the ocean and killed Godzilla.
Serizawa and Ogata straight to the bottom of the ocean, because when you're in, looking for a giant monster at the bottom of the ocean, you want to make yourself very visible from above, because typically in the ocean, things that are hunting you from below. I learned that. In a biology class.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, conversely, if you are being hunted from the air, you're being hunted from a thing that flies higher than you fly. I learned that from Avatar.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, pushing aside my crippling fear of the ocean, Serizawa and Ogata swim like right up to Godzilla, like right on up to him.
They pat him on his belly.
They're like, "Oh, you done did a good job."
They give him a little nose boot.
Yeah,
You gotta give him a little snoot boot.
A snoot boot.
I still love how much like a kitty cat Godzilla looks when he looks up over the hill.
Oh, he's adorable.
God, it's just,
They're so adorable.
yeah, it's perfect. At this point, Serizawa pulls on Ogata's thing to like have him get retracted back up to the boat, because Serizawa knows that this is a suicide mission, and he does not expect to drag Ogata to death with him. And he does the thing where he claps the two halves of the coconut together, and the oxygen explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It does.
yeah, I still don't fully. I still think that the science behind the oxygen destroyer is bullshit. I don't think it makes no goddamn sense.
What the fuck was that?
My bad. I was drinking really loudly.
Jesus Christ.
God. It sounded like someone was giving you like a Gok 3000.
Like that's also why you paused, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I paused. I'm like, excuse me?
My bad.
What's happening?
Oh no.
Yes, what?
My train derailed.
You did. It's
okay.
derailed.
Uh,
I mean, you've
Serizawa
talked about
activated
the
the bomb.
same. You've talked about the same scene happening 3 times now.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Serizawa and Ogata swim to the bottom of the ocean.
I'm gonna blow my brains out.
Okay.
Blow.
So
I'm
as
just gonna beat cherry pie all over my ceiling.
it smells like Teen Spirit.
as lumps of Godzilla flesh come raining from the sky, Ogata and Emiko are kind of like, let's get married. And
No time like the present.
yeah, and everybody salutes Serizawa's brave sacrifice, and everything just works out in the end. But Serizawa actually stays dead, which I feel like is a thing that so many things in Hollywood nowadays ruin.
Okay, like how?
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Elaborate.
That was a dramatic pause.
Back up your work.
All right. I don't. I'm gonna jump into -1 real quick. Split second for just a small portion at the very end of the movie. Very, very small piece.
I mean, sure. I know what you're gonna do.
You're asking. You know what I'm talking about, though. That moment at the end of Godzilla -1.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me just say, I feel like I know where you're going with this, and I'm immediately gonna disagree with you.
Where do you think I'm going with this? Let's hear it from.
I feel like you're gonna complain about the ending of Godzilla -1 because of that scene, and like when you're comparing these two movies, in the sense that it's not teased that Godzilla may not be dead or coming back.
No,
The difference is,
it's not what I'm talking about at all.
all right, what are you going to talk about?
End of Godzilla -1. The girl, the girlfriend figure girl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's revealed that despite getting like in the direct line of fire of Godzilla's laser beams, still survives.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this movie had the balls to kill somebody and they actually are dead. That's something I don't like about a lot of modern movies, is that it's always the fake out, like they're not actually dead, like they're just.
You could have said
Okay.
Fast and Furious movies.
So, but here's the thing that I would say, all right. There's a certain thing that you're not paying attention to with Noriko, the girlfriend in Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
There's something you're not considering with the end of the movie, but we will get into that when we get there.
It's okay. I think I know what
Well,
you're gonna
also,
say.
I would like to also add too, is because I think with the 54, since they may have been like working with both movies at the same time, because the next one came out like a year after, I believe.
Yes, it
But
did.
they were waiting to see if they didn't know the success of it, because it being 10 years after the Hiroshima event of the first one.
Is that what it
They
was?
didn't set up thinking that there was going to be a sequel, and that people were going like, "Oh, hey, this was actually really good." But -1 seems like they do intend on doing the second one.
Yeah.
So that's why the ending's different.
No,
It feels
but-
different than 54.
No, but I'm not even talking about Godzilla getting blowed up. I'm talking about the fact that when it
Kurosawa stayed dead.
It still applies though, because he's dead completely. This is one movie. This is 54
okay.
was supposed to be a one-off.
got it.
It wasn't
Okay.
supposed to be a sequel.
Got it. I see.
-1 needs to have a sequel because of the way it ended.
Right, and that's where Mrs. Godzilla comes in and they kiss.
Mm.
And it's
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
called, and it's going to be called -1 + 1.
It's just one.
No. What? Oh my god. Shit. I'm an English major, not a math major.
I was gonna say Mark has words and Brendan has numbers.
I'm neither. I'm shit with numbers, and you just.
Fuck.
If I'm doing numbers better than you are, you need to start evaluating your life. Once Shirozawa turns on the oxygen destroyer, it turns Godzilla into a skeleton, and that's important for later. How much later? About 30 years later.
Also,
You're welcome.
I wanted to say about that moment, seeing Godzilla with his flesh torn apart like that, just like
pretty
coming up out the water all angry and shit. That was haunting. I still see that when I close my eyes sometimes.
Good, you should. So, I plan on doing a little deeper dive into the history of Godzilla Raids again to understand kind of how that movie kind of exists, because there is but I mean, I watched it, and from what I could tell, like there's reference, like, oh yeah, the Godzilla attacks from from a while ago, whatever. But there is no like how he's back, like at all. And so when you saying that, like, oh, they were already working on it before that came out, I mean, maybe that kind of helps explain a little bit. And they were like, oh man, it's just so popular, we have to bring it back, in some way. But it is one of those things that they're like, we have to use this on Godzilla, and we have to use this thing to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. And then, and then they don't have the weapon anymore. And then by the time the sequel comes out, the next movie comes out, not only is Godzilla back, but then there's fucking Anguirus, and they're like, oh shit, there's two of them now. But we'll get into that when we do raids again.
Yeah.
But what y'all should tune in for next time is we are going to talk about Godzilla -1, because they are very similar. There is a lot of comparisons between this movie, 1954, and Godzilla -1. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be fun. We're also going to record it right after this. So if you're not loving Mark being high, I have bad news. He's still
or
gonna
good
be
news.
high. Or good news. If you're into it, by all means.
I can think
If
of at
you
least
love
one
train
person
wrecks.
it is.
You might also want to have a temperature gauge to gauge how high my blood pressure is going to get during this. From Mark, not the movie. The movie gets my blood pumping in a great way.
In a sexual
Mark, not
way.
so much.
Okay. Cool. Now I can stop
Yeah.
pretending to be super high.
I would kill you.
Um,
I'll just murder you.
Pretend. Yeah, right.